Hey everybody, welcome back to Creating Scenery for Microsoft Flight Simulator. We continue on our Timken Hangar. Last time we added some textures to our building, fixed some textures, that kind of stuff, and we fixed the frame, the interference between our window fiberglass and our frames. We eliminated that interference. All right, so today we are going to work on the interior frame. All right, so we need to turn some things off for now. So I'm going to select all this stuff. Let's just do this. There we go. Select those. We can select those as well. I don't know. I think I'm selecting too much. There we go. We'll keep these ends. They won't hurt us. Alright, so we're going to hit H to hide those. Now, in order to make the interior frames, we have to look at the structure. Like I said, I could not find any images. Hey, if you guys happen to work at Akron-Canton Airport and you know what the inside of this hangar looks like, contact me and send me a chat and send me some pictures. And then we'll use those as our prototype. But for now, we're going to do the best we can. So I'm inside the hangar. And if I select, I believe that's the roof profile. We want to make the interior frame, and I believe, okay, the interior frame is going to be a arch frame with some cross members to it. Okay, and so what we want to do is we want to replicate the arch, the underside. All right, I don't know why it must be doing automatic saves. All right, so let's select the underside of our roof, go into edit and select edges, and I want this edge, this. I just want the edges that define the shape of our roof. Whoops, not that one. No, not that one. That one. There we go. So, selecting those edges, just like that. Now, this one and this one will overshoot the wall, but we'll take care of that here in a second. Alright, so I have those set, just like that. Alright, now I want to Shift D to make a copy of those edges and hit Escape so I don't move them. And then I want to hit P to make them a new selection. And we're going to call this, since it's profile 001 now, I'm going to make this, I'm going to call this roof frame. Okay? So we have that. And then I'm going to get out of edit mode by hitting Tab. Then I'm going to select roof frame and go into edit mode. Now, since this edge now, let me hit period. Alright, so that ends right there on the outside of the wall. Alright, I want it to end on the inside of the wall. Okay, and then on the other side, it goes past our wall. Let me turn on ghost mode here. Oops, now yeah, ghost mode, go into that there. It goes to the outside of the main wall. We want it to end on the inside of the wall. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to, let me gather my thoughts. Okay, we're going to do some temporary stuff here for a second. So I'm going to select all of the edges with A. So I have all the edges selected. And we're going to give them some thickness. And the frames are usually somewhere between 8 and 12 inches. The beams that are used to make the frame, anywhere between 1 foot, 8 inches. Some of them are a half a foot, depending on the framing type. And I think we'll make these 8 inches and see what that looks like. So I have all the edges selected, and then I'm going to extrude with the E in the Z direction, which is down, and we're going to go minus, let's go minus 0.6. Nope, wrong way. I just hit escape. I'm going to hit Control Z because it remembers that I did an extrude. Alright, so I did 2 Control Z. So let's do an A to select everything. Extrude. Yeah, just don't hit the Z or the Z. And let's go 0.6. No. Escape. Let's go. I gotta do another Control Z here. Alright, let's do an E minus 0.6. There we go. And the reason I did it this way is because I want to split this polygon and the polygon on the other side right at the interior part of the wall. Alright. So I have a face. If I go face select, I have a face here. Okay. And so what I want to do is I want to turn on my snap to edge. So I'll turn that on. And then I'm going to do a loop cut. Click here. And then click where those intersect right there. Alright. And then I can do a face select. And I can select those faces and delete the faces. So now my frame ends at the interior wall. Now I need to do the same thing on the other side. Alright, so we're going to zoom in over here. And we're going to do a Control R for a loop cut. Click and drag until it's right there. Face select. Select those faces right there and delete them. Alright, so now I have that frame right there. Alright. So that's one member of the frame. Now, here is, if we look in the ghost image, this right here, this gray right here, is the ceiling of the part that comes this way of our overhang. Alright. And most likely, since there is no tail notch, a lot of hangars have a tail notch door for any oversized airplanes that their vertical stabilizer will have room. Since this hangar does not have one of those, most likely there is a framing member that goes from here all the way across. Okay. I probably said that wrong. This is the ceiling of the doors. So do I have... I might have, well, let's get out of X-ray mode and take a look. Okay. So the door is actually, the doors are actually bigger than the opening inside the hangar. So right here is the line that there's going to be another beam going all the way across. So it's not up here, it's down here, even with this line. So we're going to create one of those as well. Okay. So how do I want to do that? Let's turn on vertices. Okay. And if you have the extra object add-on enabled, all right, let's select this vertice, and we want to extrude that EZ, and we want to make it even. I still have my edge snap on, and I want to make it even with that. So I just extruded this vertice down to this part here. So now I have something to work with, right? Okay, now we're going to come to the other side. Now, two different ways I can do this. I can extrude this vertice all the way until it meets this line, or I can extrude this down and then connect those two. And I'm trying to, sorry about all my thinking, but like I said, we're doing this live, well, relatively live, but that is a little different. Oh, there it is. Let me turn on X-ray. There we go. Now I can see it right there. That's the corner I want. So let's select this one. Ah, notice you can't see the white dot that I selected. All right, so what we're going to do, and the reason we're going to do that is because I have multiple vertices. There's two vertices at this corner. So I'm going to select all my vertices, and I'm going to M for merge by distance. Now there's only one vertice there. It's cleaner, all right? There's not duplicates. So every once in a while you might have to do that merge process to kind of, since I had two vertices in this corner right on top of each other, that's unnecessary. So I use the M function and merged by distance, so now there's only one vertice. Now I can, with this vertice selected now, I'm going to extrude that in the Z down to this point right here, which is straight across. All right. Then I can shift click and select those two and hit F to join those two with an edge. You with me? I hope. All right, I know this is probably all boring for you guys, but it'll give you something to do on a rainy day. All right, now we're going to save. Let's do a save. Okay, so we have an object that we can start working with, but I think sometimes this is how my brain works. I don't think I had to do this 8-inch beam. I could have just used the outside and then brought this vertice down to this point. So I'm going to do some things that are probably going to make you guys cuss at me, and I am going to delete some things here. But what do I want to delete? I want to, let's get rid of these lines here. Let's undo all of this here. Not undo, but let's make some modifications, because we're going to make the frame as easy as possible without all these different parts to have to mess with. So I'm going to select these edges. just these interior edges, and we're going to recreate them again. You guys will see what I'm talking about here in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these. Alright, and just keep the outside edges. Alright, so I got all those interior edges selected. Hit delete and delete edges. There. Alright, now if I turn on vertices, let's select all those vertices, do an M, merge by distance just in case. Okay. And if I wanted to, at this point, with all those selected, I can hit an F, and now I have a face that is the same shape. Okay. Now we are going to put in our cross members. All right, we have cross members, and I'm going to use these as our vertical cross members. All these vertices here, and then we'll put our diagonal cross members after we get those made. All right. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to go to, I can't remember which view. Let's do A, tilde A. Yeah, that's it. Tilde A for the back view. Is that right? Yeah. Tilde A gives me a straight on of the back. Now, we are going to turn on our auto merge tool right here and make sure our option is split edges and faces. And when you have that set, if I select a vertice and extrude that in the Z direction, click, it automatically splits this polygon. Automatically splits it and puts the intersection here. And then if you hit delete vertice, then you select that, you deleted that little extra vertice on the bottom. Okay. Tilde A. There we go. So I just split this big polygon into two. This little one here, and then the rest of it. And that was using the merge tool and split edges and faces. So I'm going to select this vertice, extrude Z, just go past our line there, and then delete the vertice. So now I have three faces. So I'm going to do that for every one of these, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I have all those split into their individual sections. The only thing I didn't do is delete them one at a time. These little dangles at the end, I didn't delete those. Each time I did a split, I'd just wait and then select them all and then delete them. Okay, so now tilde A. Okay, so now I have individual polygons. And you'll see where that comes in here in a second. Just like that. Okay. Now we have some diagonal bracing that comes across here. So we're going to add those, and basically what that is, it's another split. It's another split just like we did. Okay, so at the center, they're going to go diagonal away from the center like this. All right. Most likely it doesn't go this way because you got to remember the forces of gravity and the stress point. If I put it if they constructed it diagonal here, then the middle brace doesn't have the support. All right, we want to take the load that's in the middle and distribute it down to here. Okay, so we're gonna do our vertice and we're going to select that vertice, and we are going to make sure that we're on vertice snap. Okay, just like that. And we're going to E snap. And let's see if it's split. Yep, just like that. See how that works? Alright, so go back to here. Now, in construction, these will be in the same direction. So, I mean, you're going to create a bunch of V shapes, okay? Just like this. Alright, so our next split is going to be from the bottom, E, snap to that one. So you're just creating the truss webbing, and they're usually in V shapes or W shapes, okay? So we're going to select that. Whoa, okay. So I don't want to do that. So I want to select all of them, hit M for merge, get rid of the duplicates. Is that right? Does that work? That did not work. Alright, that did not work. So I want to, let's get rid of that one. There we go. So if I select that one, E, snap. There we go. Alright. You got to play with the direction that you go, because it won't necessarily split. So you got a 50-50 chance. And every time I have a 50-50 chance of doing anything, I always fail. Alright, so go back here. And so I'm going to split here. Hit E. And then I'm going to double check, make sure that did the split. Yep. So I'm going to go from the outside to the in on every one. So let me finish splitting all of these across so I can get all my pieces, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have all those splits. I have all these triangles. I know people don't like triangles in Blender, but anyway, you can't help it sometimes. Alright, so I have the truss constructed. Usually on the ends, there's not, you could put a diagonal here, but if the space is small enough, the span between the vertical members won't really affect the stress all that much. I mean, you can put one down here in this direction if you wanted to, but I'm not going to. And it's my building. I can do what I want. No, I'm kidding. But if you're an engineer and you know how they work, do it accordingly. Alright, so we have the basic construct of our end frame, okay? Depending on the construction of the hangar, alright, this frame structure could go all the way across the building, or the ends only look like this, and in the middle it's more of an arch frame that doesn't come all the way across. But I would assume that this bottom part of the frame is on every member of cross, so it kind of like has a flat ceiling in a way, even though there's not ceiling material. All right, I hope you guys understand what I'm talking about, but you'll see here in a second. So I'm going to tilde A so I can still get the front. Now we have something that we can basically tell Blender to make this look like a truss. Okay, so what we're going to do is in Polygon Select, first of all, I'm going to go to File, Save. Alright, And I am going to, with face select, I'm going to select all the faces, and I'm going to hit I, and I'm going to hit I twice. So we are offsetting every individual polygon the same, okay? And I'm going to offset this by 0.6. 0.6 looks a little bit too big. If I do, let's escape and do a, nope, wrong key. I forgot to do something. If I do, let's do a Control Z to undo that, just in case we make a mistake. So A to select everything, I twice, and do 0.2. The interior webbing looks good, but the exterior webbing out here and out here looks a bit too thin. So we might do this in 2 passes. How do I want to do this? Again, I got to pause to think. Like I said, I'm doing this live. Escape. Haha. Just figured out how I usually do it. Okay, so this is the layout for our interior frames. All right, for now. All right, so I need to go to edit mode. I'm in edit mode. I need to go to edge select, and I want to select. I'm going to hold down the Alt key, and that gets me all the way across. Alt Shift, select that one. Alright, so I hit Alt Shift and just select the outside edges. Alright, just like this, outside edges. And then I'm going to hit P. No, I'm not. I'm going to Shift D, make a copy of those, hit Escape so I don't move them. And then P, new selection. So now I have a roof frame 001. Now the roof frame 001 is only going to be these outside beams, so to speak. All right, and roof frame will be our interiors. All right, so we're going to do 2 steps, and then we're going to combine them later. All right, so we're going to call roof frame. Let's get out of edit mode by hitting tab, select roof frame 001, and let's make this, let's call it roof frame prime. Okay, and let's make this roof frame second for secondary. All right. Now, let's turn off secondary and go to roof frame 1. Go into edit mode. There should not be a face. All right, yep. So let's go to edge, select all. No, let's go to vertices, select all, and let's just do a merge by distance just in case there's any duplicates. Then go to edge select, select all, which they are, hit F to make 1 polygon for the entire end. All right. Now, remember we hit the I to do an inset. So I'm going to hit I to do an inset, and we want these framing members to be 8 inches. So that's 0.6 feet. Okay, just like that. Okay. Then, with the interior polygon selected, we can delete that face. So now that object is just the I-beams that make the exterior part of our frame. Alright, now let's go back. Let's get out of edit mode and turn back on our secondary. Turn off our primary. Select our secondary and go into edit mode by hitting tab. Okay. Now this interference we're getting, that's because of the siding polygon, but this is going to be brought away from the actual end of the building, so do not fear. Okay. So with our secondary selected polygon, and if I do an I, select all, A, and do an I twice, and do 0.2, hit enter, and then now I have, you see that we have our interior structure is 0.2 feet, not 0.6, okay, because those cross beams are usually smaller. Now we need to delete these interior polygons. So I'm going to hit delete faces, and now our interior frames. Now there is some stuff we can get rid of because we only want the cross members and the verticals. Alright, so all these other polygons that we don't need, which is our outside frame, we can go ahead and get rid of all of those. So I'm going to select all those. Oh, actually I can go all the way across without interfering. There we go. Let's select all these. So we don't have any interference there. Okay, so only the vertical supports and the cross supports. So I hit delete, delete faces. Alright, just like that. Now we'll get some interference where these come together, but we'll take care of those later. Okay, so let's get out of edit mode. Let's do a save. And let's turn on our primaries. So, kind of like that. Now, remember, this interference is not, it's interfering with this wall here, which is fine. Okay. Now, you can actually leave it like that without chopping this off if you wanted to. It's not going to really make a big issue. Let me get off that. Okay. Now what I want to do is, since we can get rid of our interference here, I'm going to select both the prime and the secondary, and I'm going to move them toward us 1 foot. So I'm going to go G, Y, 1. See, now we're not getting that interference because they're not on top of each other anymore. Well, we'll get an interference here, but that's going to go away as well. Okay. Okay, now, so we moved our frame out from the wall, so we're not seeing any of that conflict between surface faces. Now, like I said, there are many different ways, or a few different ways, to chop off this part that interferes with our main frame system. Okay, so this yellow selected object is our primary beams for our truss. If you want to cut down polygon counts for your level 00, your LOD 00, it's a good idea to go ahead and cut this extra stuff off. All right, you can do that by hand, but I'm going to show you another way to do it. All right, so what I want to do first is I want to select that wall back there, and we want to door shed. Let's turn that off so we can see our beams a little better, okay? All right, now I want to take these objects first and I make a copy of them. So I select it, Shift D, and that made me a where is it? Well, let's just do that. So I have a roof frame prime 00 and a roof frame second 001. So I copied each one of these. So I did a Shift D on each one of these and then escaped so I don't move it, and then hit P, create a new selection. So I created copies of our original roof frame prime and secondary. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to play with the backups first, and if everything works fine, then I'm good to go. All right, so I'm going to select the prime 00, and I'm going to add a solidify modifier to it. And I think I already have it on there, but I have it as the default is 0.032, which is 1 inch. No, 1/10 of an inch. All right, so I'm going to make that our main beams. I'm going to make that the same as our thickness, 0.6. So that'd be roughly about 8 inches. All right, and let's go ahead and modify that. Apply our modifier. Okay, so now my beam is a 3D object. So if I go into edit mode, you can see that it's a true 3D object. All right, now what I'm going to do is select our cross beams, and I'm going to go ahead and inset those a little bit. Let's check our face orientation, because remember the solidify goes toward the red side. So there's our red side. All right, so I just wanted to double check that. So let's turn off face orientation, and I'm selecting our cross members, and I'm going to add a solidify modifier to that, and the default is 0.03281. We are going to make that 0.4 inches, just smaller than our primary. Okay, so I'm going to say 0.4. So it gives it 0.4, and it's going to inset into the beam. The difference between 0.6 and 0.4 is 0.2. So I'm going to move the frames in the Y direction, 0.1. Okay, so we're going to GY minus 0.1. So that way our secondary beams are centered in the main beam. Okay, so I got 0.1 feet on each side of that beam. Okay, now one of these is going to become our main beam after we're done, and the other one is going to become our main secondary one. All right, now we're going to use a Boolean modifier to delete from the cross frames anything that intersects with the primary. All right, and if you guys remember the last video where I said add-ons that I use, I always have the bool tool enabled, because the bool tool allows me to use a series of hotkeys to automatically do Boolean operations. All right, so if we go to edit and we go to preferences, and I come down here and you'll see right there, I have bool tool enabled, and I have it enabled all the time because I use it a lot. All right, so make sure you do that for this next step. So go to add-ons, preferences, add-ons, do a search for bool tool, and then hit the check mark to enable it. All right, so with the cross beam selected, I hit shift and select our main beam. Okay, then I hit the right control key and the minus key on the keypad. I knew I had a 50-50 chance of getting this right. Remember what I said? So Control Z, I had them selected the other way. I want the main beam and then the cross beams. There we go. I had a 50-50 chance. I always fail. All right, so select the main beam and then the cross members, and then do the right control key and the minus on your keypad. And you notice that it has chopped off all of our cross beams so they don't interfere with our main beam. And notice our main beam is gone. Well, that main beam that we have was just a temporary object. All right, so come over here and let's apply the solidifier and then apply the bool tool or the Boolean modifier that control minus created. Go ahead and do an apply. So now you notice that this object is still around and it's right here, and you can turn that off. Matter of fact, you can delete that when you're done. Now let's go to the original prime, okay, and let's go add that solidify modifier to it, which was 0.6. Hit enter, and then go ahead and apply that. So now we have our roof beam system, or at least one made, right? Now, these are usually I-beams. It's not solid steel, right? So let's go into select our main beam and go tab into edit mode. All right. And let's select all of our polygons that go around that outside edge there. All right, now I'm only doing one side. Basically what I did to select them all at once was I just made sure I was on face select, and when I select a face, I select it toward the end of the direction that I want it to go, hold my Alt key and click, and that does a ring select. Okay, a loop select. So now all my outside polygons are selected. I don't want the top edge, and I don't want the bottom edge, and right now I don't want the other side. Now you can hit an I, and notice that since the last operation we did with the inset was a double tap I to do each polygon individually, since that was the last operation I used with the I, it automatically does the I, all right, the two I's. So I want to just hit I again to only get one. I don't want to do all of them individually, because this is what we're going to do is inset this so we can make an I-beam. All right. All right, so I just escaped out of that, and I'm going to hit Control Z just to double check I was all right. I want to zoom in a little bit because I want to get a better view. All right, so now we're going to hit the Alt, select, and select that ring. Then I'm going to hit I, and since the last operation I made with the I, remember, was the double I, I'm going to hit it I again to get single. And I want my inset, I-beams are usually 1.25 inches or so thick. All right. And I am going to go 0.08, which is an 0.083 is actually an inch. So I could put the 3 in there if I wanted to. And then I'm going to hit enter. Okay. Then we're going to extrude that inward. So I'm going to hit E, and we're going in the minus direction. And remember, this was 0.4 inches thick, right? So we need a piece of steel that's in the middle, okay? And we want that to be 0.83. So we got to do some ciphering, and I'm going to use my calculator to cheat. So we are going to get our calculator, and if it's 0.4 inches, oh, I'm sorry, this is 0.6 inches thick, okay, or 8 inches thick. It's 0.6 feet thick, okay, 8 inches thick, but I want to leave an inch thick in the middle and then get rid of everything else. I'm going to inset this polygon. Let's see. So if I go 0.6 minus 0.083, that leaves me with 0.517 feet remaining. But I need to divide that by 2 because I'm going to take half of it and inset it on this side. And then I'm going to take the other half and inset it coming this way. All right, so I'm going to divide that by 2. And I screwed that up. 0.517 divided by 2 gives me 0.2585. So I already have the extrusion. I already have the extrusion in there. Okay, let's escape that for a second. Let's Control Z since I talked and can't remember where I let off. All right, so let's go E, and let's go minus 0.2585. Hit enter. Okay, so now my I-beam on one side is correct, right? Okay, I'm gonna hit period to focus in on that and then zoom back in. That way I can move my mouse around a little better. All right, now we need to do the other side. We need to do the exact same thing on the other side. So I am going to hold in the Alt and select that ring select there. We're going to inset. And notice the last function I had was a single I, so it remembers that. And we're going to make that 0.083, which is 1 inch thick. And then we're going to inset these faces minus 0.2585, just like we did on the other side. So we're going to E minus 0.2585, hit enter. So now I have an I-beam. Okay, there's right there, we're inside of our I-beam, so we see, okay, and then we come out here like that. So we have an I-beam, just like that. So that's how I make the I-beam. How many times can I say I-beam? Let's do a file save. All right. Now, you can do the same thing with the cross braces if you wanted to. All right. And eventually I think I will, but the unlike our I-beam that goes around the outside, it was easy to select one edge, those polygons that go around the edge. But you don't really have that luxury with these internal ones, all right? So let's get out of edit mode, tab, select our cross beams, and then tab into edit mode, all right? With these cross beams, there's a lot of polygons to have to deal with, right? So I'm going to go ahead and leave these solid, but you could select these polygons, remake these faces into a single face instead of a split face like this. And then you can do the eye, the insets, and inset these and make these all smaller I-beams, right? Okay, but you could do that if you wanted to, all right? And what I mean by, let's turn vertices on. Notice that this is one polygon here, and this is one polygon here, all right? And if I wanted to turn those into one single polygon, I can either reconstruct this face, or I can select both of those faces, hit hit your right mouse button, and dissolve the faces. Okay, so now it's no longer two polygons, it's one polygon, all right? But just so you know, you're going to have to select each one of these individually. You can't select all the polygons and then do it, because then it just doesn't work. All right. So if I wanted these two, I'd have to select these two, right click, dissolve faces. Select these two, right click, dissolve faces. You get the picture? Okay. Then you could select your outside polygons. Obviously, you're going to have to do them individually because a loop select wouldn't work in this geometry. And then you can do that inset to create this I-beam look to it. All right, but for this video, I'm not going to do that. For my final model, I'm going to do that. All right, and this is leading up to my final model, but I don't want to bore you guys. Oh, yes, I do. I'm going to pause and do that. So I will be right back. Let's do it right. Okay, so I'm finishing up. It's taking about 5 minutes. All right, so I'm finishing up by selecting these polys and dissolving the faces by right-clicking my mouse. All right, so there's my last one. All right, I'm going to hit period to focus in on that just so I can spin or surround. All right, so I did both sides. I dissolved the faces. Now, to do the inset, just like we did with the outside I-beam, the only difference is that our dimension of our cross beams are smaller. All right, you can make it whatever thickness that you think looks realistic, but you want to select all these outside faces, and you can only do one. To do the inset, you can do every outside face at once, but when you want to inset that polygon, those selected polygons after you, okay, I'm mixing terms here. Remember, we do an inset with the eye, and that gives us the boundary, right? Okay. Then we selected with this inside polygons selected, then we extruded those in the negative direction and sunk them in, right? Okay. You can do your insets by selecting all the polygons that you want to create insets with. The problem with doing that and then coming back and doing your negative extrusion is that the polygons on this side and the polygons on this side are facing in opposite directions. And it will use the medium of those two to do your extrusions. So it won't go like this, all right? It may do this. So you got to work one side at a time. All right. If you guys know a trick other than that, let me know. All right. So anyway, we're going to select all these outside polygons on one side of the truss. All right. I'll do that and be right back. Okay, so I have all those polygons selected only on one side of our truss. I didn't select the ones on the other side of the truss. All right. And I'm going to refocus so I can spin around more better. All right. So we know that our in this from here to here, based on our solidification, the thickness is 0.4 inches. All right. Do I still want my steel itself to be 1 inch thick? Well, let's take a look. So with all these polygons selected, let's do an eye, and it will do all of them, just like that. And let's inset those 0.08. And whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm wondering. See, that just doesn't make sense. All right, let me try this again. I don't have anything selected on the other side. Let me double check something here real quick. Let me get out of here, get out of edit mode. Yeah, my scale's good. All right, so it's not that. Oh, wait a minute. 0.08. There, I did 0.8, didn't I? Okay. All right. I think we're going to get away with about, it's a little less than an inch because the other one was 0.083. This is 0.08. So just a little bit smaller than an inch, which is good. All right. And then I'm going to hit enter. All right. Now, doing the same thing, except we're using 0.4. We're going to use our calculator. So if our beam is 0.4 and we subtract 0.08, we get 0.32. So the negative inset is going to be half of that. So it's going to be 0.16. So 2 inches. All right, so we're going to E minus 0.16. Okay? So we have that set up. Now we have to do the same thing to the other side. So I'm going to get all of these faces selected and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have all those selected on the other side, just like we did on the others. The south side. We're on the north side right now. All right, now we're going to do the eye to inset, and we're going to go 0.08. And then that automatically selects the internal polygons, and we're going to extrude those in the negative direction, 0.16. Okay. So now we have a truss system set up. Okay, these are our roof truss. All right. Now we have some artifacts up here, and I'm not really going to be too concerned about that. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna cry wolf on that one, but we can easily do some editing, get rid of these artifacts that we have from the inset operation. All right, but for now it's not going to be that bad. All right, I think we'll be just fine. But we got a nice looking, let's get out of edit mode. We got a nice looking truss system. Okay, now if you wanted to put model metal plates and create gussets at all of these intersections, you definitely could. And that would be just by creating a plane in a certain shape of a gusset, give it some thickness, all right, if you wanted to. And you can even go as far as putting nuts and bolts. The amount of detail that you put in your models is totally up to you. Just remember that the more detail, you want to only save those in your level, your LOD 00. All right, you don't want it to draw nuts and bolts when your pilot's on approach. Okay, and we're going to set this up in LODs in a future video as we move along. All right, so anyway, we have our first truss made, and what I like to do now is, let's first save. All right, and these are our two products. It's the roof frame prime and the roof frame second 001 that we did with the Boolean and stuff. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select our secondary, hold down our control key and select our primary, and I'm going to hit a control J. So now those are one object. And we're just going to remove the word prime. Okay. And hit enter. So now our truss is made. All right. Now let's turn on. Now let's not. Let's zoom out and find out where our origin is. Where's my origin showing up? Oh, there's my origin way down there. Okay. So what I want to do is I need to set an origin because we're going to add another modifier. So we're going to have to make tons of these, right? So we're going to go to ghost mode here, go into tab into edit mode, and I am going to turn on vertice, and I am going to select a vertice. I think I'll select this one right here. All right, and I'm going to shift S and cursor to selected. Then I'm going to get out of edit mode, and I'm going to right click, set origin to 3D cursor. So my origin of this object is right here. All right, and get out of edit mode. No, I mean I wasn't in edit mode. All right, now it's just the simple fact or the simple process of an array. Okay, so we are going to array this truss so we have a whole bunch going across. Okay, now what I want to do is, since I'm a fraidy cat, I am going to shift D, escape, and P. So now I have roof frame 001. I have a copy of what I had. Just in case I screw something out, I have a backup. All right, so let's go back to roof frame and start setting up our array. So with that selected, go to modify tools, add modifier, add an array. Now, by default, it's in the X direction, but we're not doing relative offset. We are doing a constant offset, and we are not going in the X. We are going in the Y, and we want these offset by, let's see what 20, I don't know the distance between the trusses, so let's try 20 first. Oh, I know what I did wrong. Let's go to object and apply all transformations. There we go. Now the orientation and all that is set. All right, so that's what it looks like, 20 feet, and let's see how many would fit in there. One I would hope would end up about right there, yeah. And if I add one more, it's probably over the end, but we'll make adjustments. So that's what it would look like if they were 20 feet apart. But we can come down here and type in 16. And need to add a couple more. Now, I kind of like the 20. If we did 10 feet, and then added, yeah, I think I like the 10 feet better. All right. Now, you'll have to make some adjustments. Like this one will overshoot a little bit because this distance isn't exactly perfect. All right. Now, you could take the length of your building and divide it by the distance and find out how many go there and get it to actually line up. But sometimes we cheat. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I like that. I think that for all intents and purposes, I think that will be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that array modifier. So now the geometry's there. And I'm going to go into edit mode and select this truss. All right, hit period to zoom in on it. Okay. And I want to select a vertice that's on this outside edge. So I'm going to go vertice, and I'm going to select a vertice that's on that outside edge. All right. And I'm going to make sure I got active set. Yep. Okay. And I'm going to move this entire truss system. Whoa, 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 whoa. No, no, no. I'm going to move this entire truss system, except I want one of these outside vertices active. There we go. And I want to move it where it is. Let's see, I got an overhang, so I need my end wall. So we're going to turn this end roof back on. And let's go. I want that to be even with that face. So we're going to move this in the, I'm going to turn this to edge. And I'm going to move this in the Y direction until we snap there. So it's even with the end of my building, but I don't want it to interfere with our texture. So I'm going to move it in just a little bit more. So I'm going to go G, Y minus 0.1. We can go backspace 0.2. No, backspace 0.3. Whoa. Whoa. I hit escape to stop doing that. So let's do GY minus 0.3. No. Let's go GY minus 0.5. It's still not far enough. Because I'm sticking out right here. Am I? No, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. There we go. Yeah, let's move that in some more. So let's go back to here, do that. Select all these, don't get that one. There we go. Alright. And let's move that, move Y minus 0.2. There we go. Okay. There we go. So that's one way of making a roof truss system. Now, there are purlins. A purlin runs perpendicular to the the trusses, okay? A purlin, P-U-R-L-I-N. All right, and those are going to be spaced along the roof, and they'll run the entire length of the roof, and they usually go from here to here. All right, so I will probably, before I record the next video, I'll go ahead and make the purlins. I won't bore you with that, but that's just making a bunch of beams basically that run perpendicular to the trusses. So I hope you guys got an idea of how to make a roof system. Okay, now I didn't do any poles or anything. We'll do that later. So I'm going to leave you at this. So that's how I make my roof system. And now when I do levels of detail, like this is for level detail, LOD 00, which is the most detailed, LOD 01, which is the next less detailed, I'll actually delete all these, okay, because you're not going to see the roof truss system when you're way out here, okay. So I hope you guys liked this long drawn out video, and we will continue on and put in the posts, and I'll do the purlins ahead of time, show you what I'm talking about, and I hope that you like this video. If you would subscribe, that would be great. We're closing in on 1,000 subscribers. I think I'm only like 48 away. And if you feel inclined to support me by buymeacoffee.com/myphysicalworld, hit the bell for notifications as well. And I will see you guys on the next video. We'll see you later.